I'd like to introduce Nanna Gro Henningsen.
Yep.
I actually said that right. I'm impressed, sort of. So I guess we'll start off. We have some of her work over here on the side. And if you want to, we can just kind of talk about your practice and where this started from and this encyclopedic way of working.
I've been working with the history of civilization, with language, with ideas history.
Okay.
And the idea of doing the project that I'm going to introduce to you today and ask you to join actually is kind of an encyclopedia.
Great.
It's called Lexicon. And the idea is actually, it's an ongoing project. It started 5 years ago. I was invited to an exhibition at Den Fri in Copenhagen, which was called Open Portal. And what they asked, and actually this is one of the pieces I did for that, what they asked was that all the pieces that people made in this exhibition could be photocopied. And so they brought in 2 big photocopy machines in the exhibition space, and the audience could photocopy the works, and they would be given envelopes so that they could send photocopies of the works to their friends.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So they were actually very much in the spirit of what you're doing.
Yep.
The idea of sharing the work. So I just thought that was a perfect thing to bring today.
Fantastic.
So, and of course, an encyclopedia, as you know, has thousands of words in it. And one of the things I love about the encyclopedia, and which also is a bit the way I think and work, is that there's some sort of system in it, and that is the alphabet.
Yeah.
But apart from that, 2 words with A doesn't have to have any logical connection to each other in the first place.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
That kind of abstract connection between words.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, great.
So
should we go ahead and start? We'll start pulling things out. Let me give you one of these.
Yeah.
Just put these on, you know.
Yeah. Competition.
Gotta stay tidy. Don't want to be messy, get our clothes all dirty. All right. So where do we start?
Well, the technique for lexicon or encyclopedia, and I'd like you to think about this as a Wikipedia, which means that you can actually join in and make your own entries into this encyclopedia. But it's print on birch veneer. So to begin with, you need a piece of wood. And this one's already been cut into size, which can of course be done with one of these. And don't worry, I'm not gonna start this one now because we wouldn't be able to hear anything. The thing is, I'm very big on safety. So when you work with one of these, you also need one of these. So
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, there's also the easy solution, which is to go to the timber trade and ask the guys at the timber trade to cut the piece for you.
Which is what I would do.
Yeah. Or you can do what I did the first time I did these prints, which was to pick all bits and pieces of wood out of the container and simply try to print on that. So, anyone who's been tried cutting in veneer will know that very often it'll do like this. You don't want that. You especially don't want it on the side where you're going to print. The trick is, and I learned this from a British artist, who is a printer and a painter, Julia Ferrer. She said you do a sandwich. So you have 3 pieces of wood that you mount and fix, and then you measure and you put something straight here that you can run this side of the saw against. It's completely impossible to cut a straight line with a jigsaw unless you have something to support it with. But if you cut through all the 3 layers of wood, you will find that the top one will be flawed, like this, and the bottom one will probably also have these, but the one in the middle will be absolutely perfect.
That's amazing. I wish somebody would have taught me that a long time ago.
Yeah.
It would have saved a lot of money on buying wood. That's why I have the guys cut it at the shop. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah,
they probably enjoy your visits.
I'm sure, yeah.
Okay.
My glowing personality. Yeah.
So, now we've got the wood. In order for the wood to be able to receive a print, because that's what we're going to do, we're going to make a print, you need to sand it. And obviously, we have here one of these and one of these. And again, safety first, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course.
Obviously, you're going to need one of these. I did a little homework, so it's already been sanded. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
The next thing is that...
You only have one of those, so we'd need a lot more.
We probably would.
Yeah.
So, in order for the wood to be able to receive the print properly, it has to be completely free of any kind of resin or oil from the tree or any kind of smudge. So you clean the plate. And this is where it gets toxic.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Because we're going to work with acetone. And of course...
Again, safety, I'm going to guess.
Safety?
Yeah.
One of these. So, and these are actually quite inexpensive. You can change the filters. These filters are specifically for solvents. So, and again, I'm not going to do the big surface now because you'd all be fainting from the stench and I only have one mask. So, but basically, you take, and that's also important, a cotton cloth. Has to be cotton because acetone, as you may know, will dissolve any kind of plastic or many kinds of plastics. And then you simply wipe the wood clean with the acetone. Now, when you've wiped it with the acetone, the wood will actually react in the way that the tiny, tiny hairs in the wood will stand up. So you're going to have to use the sandpaper again.
Do you have a specific grain of sand that you like to use?
This one's 120. 180 will do as well, but no lower than that.
Okay.
So also, you have to work with it until the wood is as soft as a baby's bottom.
Perfect.
Yeah. Absolutely silky.
That's how I like all of my panels. So
unless you want a really trashy print,
oh yeah, well,
then you can just drag it out of the container and go ahead and print. So now, what are we going to print?
Yeah.
Encyclopedias are composed, as you can see here, of usually there's a definition of a word, concept, and not always, but sometimes there will be some kind of illustration. In the encyclopedia, normally, the idea of the illustration is to explain the concept or to support the explanation of the word.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fuck that up as much as I possibly can.
Fantastic.
So,
you and I are on the same page with things, so that's great. Yeah.
So basically, what I do is I try to find words that are, have some sort of actuality within current debate or within my own life or whatever appeals to me at the moment as a word that I would like to sort of investigate.
Okay.
And to do that, I look into dictionaries, I look into old encyclopedias.
Do you ever find that it changes from language to language, what you're kind of looking for, or how the piece kind of builds over time?
Absolutely. I mean, I've actually only made these in Danish. I've translated some of them for you guys.
Oh, okay, perfect. That's really good for me.
But I realized that, for example, the word democratic all of a sudden meant something completely different in an American context. So once you start translating it, you have to realize that it has very much to do with a specific party.
Yeah.
And in Europe, it would be more about the historical
context of the word. Yeah.
So.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing with the language is, I mean, this is just, I pick up old encyclopedias and dictionaries everywhere I can, bookshops and places. And when you pick your word, I mean, you can do this in many different ways. You can pick a word and find a definition that you find to be actually true. You can also pick a really old encyclopedia, and then you can try and find a definition of something where you're just like, oh my God, this was written before anyone had ever read anything about post-colonialism or whatever, gender.
Yeah.
So you can actually also find a definition of a word which is outdated or quaint or queer or whatever.
I would assume that, like in English, there are probably words that just completely fall out of fashion, so they just go away altogether.
Absolutely.
And so you won't find them.
No,
Yeah.
true. And then there's the other kind of words that I'm mainly interested in at the moment, which is the kind of words that are being used in political debate.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what we see in political debate is that you can actually we can talk about a discourse, which is there's a certain kind of language you use in politics, which makes it easy to say some things and very difficult to say other things. So this discourse will actually make specific words that have been very valuable, will sort of devalue it. So now we got the wood, we got the printed media. What we need now is what to print from, and that is photocopies. So the other difficult bit about this project is you can't just use any printer. You actually have to go and find a really old black and white photocopy machine somewhere. So now, next complication, and I'm actually really sad about this complication because as you can probably see, there are some words here, and I've had to reverse them because otherwise they will be reversed in the print. So I've cut out my picture from the housekeeping book. As you can see, this lady pouring something into the back of a chair. And I've made my word definition, but I had to put the word definition into a computer and flip it. Most image programs will have that function.
Pretty easily, yeah.
So it shouldn't be too much, and you can get someone to help you if you're not too used to it. But you have to flip it because otherwise you won't be able to read it. Unless, of course, you prefer it
unintelligible
and I mean, you know, Da Vinci wrote.
Exactly. Everything was in reverse. Yeah. Then you just read it through a mirror. So when you're doing this, are you take your photograph and your text, and do you actually take both of them and lay them down onto the copy machine and then scan it that way, or do you actually build this image in Photoshop or something like that, and then?
It depends.
Okay.
This one I built in Photoshop because this is such an important occasion.
That's nice. Thanks.
But sometimes I have lots of different pictures, and I will just place them around and play around with it.
So you can kind of build a composition based on whatever the situation is. Okay.
And you can easily use more than one picture. So, so that's, you can do that either way.
Okay.
Now, the thing is that this is far from a very, it's not a very clever technique actually. It's very, it will fail a lot of the time.
Perfect.
So
I think that's the important part of this actually, is the failure.
I can tell you when I started doing it, I wanted these pictures to be in this installation, the one with the goat on top, and I wanted them to sort of not be artworks in themselves, but just to be images that would sort of speak with the whole context. Yeah. And I didn't know this technique existed, or maybe it didn't, I don't know. But I heard about Rauschenberg, who would use to print things draw pictures of newspapers and from books and stuff. Yeah. And so what I did was simply that I went through all the chemicals in my workshop. One by one, I just went through all the chemicals.
Just slowly killing brain cells.
Yeah, well, I had this one.
Oh, okay, good.
So, and then finally, when I was out of chemicals, I realized that I had a bit of nail polish remover, which is exactly the same stuff as this. And voila. So, but it took a lot of failing. Okay, yeah. So, but I knew in my heart that I
something would work, yeah, so, of course.
Now, because it's a technique that will often fail, you may need to do more than one print from a copy. So, and in order for the copies, if you do a second attempt to fit exactly the same spots, you have to mark them. And we do that with? Yeah. Very smart. Needles. So, I have these rather thick needles, could also be small pins. I make sure that it's absolutely perfectly fitted in the edges. I have 3 copies here, and I will just put a needle through in each corner so that I have a hole. Okay. And when I mount the first copy on the wood, I will mount it in that specific hole, because that way I can fit the next 2 copies to exactly the same. So you put a hole in the panel each time? Okay. And don't worry about the holes, because this is kind of very small material. So if you want the hole to disappear, all you have to do is to take the back of a teaspoon and you just, Oh, burnish it down, just rub it down, okay. Or you can sand it away. So now we're going to mount the paper. Okay. Can I help you in any way?
Do you want me to hold something?
Well,
I'll let you do it.
Bit.
Yeah, it's all right.
So.
You have your process, I understand. Oh, that's it. That's just a couple of taps.
Just a couple of taps.
All right.
Of course, you have to make sure that the picture is the way you want it to be on the wood. And as you will see now, it's a very simple technique when it works, which we don't know whether it will. Now, I'm not going to put the mask on now because then I can't speak. So you're going to have to bear with me for a few moments with the smell of this. We'll try and make it as short as possible.
We'll just pretend like we're in a nail salon.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
it. Good. Okay, we need a brush. And the thing about the brush is you can see here, these are really old and shabby and dusty.
Wow, dusty. Yeah.
Must have been there when I was sanding. But this brush doesn't come like this. It was this long. I've actually cut it down because it needs to be very, very firm. It's not just the acetone that will put the picture onto the wood, it's the pressure that you apply on the back of the photocopy that will pressure the color into the wood. So this one has to be really, really hard.
So you can kind of change the way the image looks based on how much pressure you add and...
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do that. The thing is also, one thing that which might be good to mention also is that if you have great areas of changing gray, it might not come off so neatly. It will be sort of wishy-washy.
Okay.
If you can get a picture with a half-tone or a raster, a half-tone image in it or half-tone pattern in it, it will take much better.
Okay.
And also lines of any kind will
they come up really strong.
Beautifully.
Okay.
So you will experience that on your own. I certainly have.
Yeah,
So,
and like you said, it's okay to fail.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. So now,
You ready? You're nervous.
This is the crucial moment.
Do you want some water? Would that help, or no? Are you okay? See, good idea, right? Kind of clarifies the body before you decide to use all the toxic chemicals, so that'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah. So the trick is also you have to use a glass jar because again, this acetone will melt different kinds of plastic. So you might all of a sudden you might have acetone all over if you don't use glass. Also, it will take the lacquer off your table. Don't do it on your favorite table.
Or your floor, I guess.
Or your floor.
Yeah. All right.
So just add a little bit.
So I guess maybe doing this outside.
Doing it outside is a really good idea.
All right.
So
we're going to do it inside.
Yeah, we're going to do it inside. Can you smell it?
Yeah.
So we're going to do our nails now. Now, the trick is not to have just the right amount of acetone on the brush. If you have too much, it will completely splash.
Okay. So the image kind of bleeds out almost like a watercolor.
Yeah, but nothing will transfer because
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, and it will. Well, actually, you can find a middle way where you can get, if you want that wishy-washy.
Okay. That soft kind of Turner-esque sort of feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Now let's see. I think her head is here. We're going to start with her head.
Okay.
So dip it.
So you just rub her head really hard. Okay.
On this one, and then I simply, where's her head? There.
All right.
Really hard. You smell it?
Oh yeah, it stinks. So you have really strong forearms, right? Yeah, and like this area.
Well, it helps.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, it's entertaining to watch, so that's good.
Well, in a minute you can have a go.
Okay. Oh, okay. So do you ever alter the image? I don't think I can rub as hard as you can. This is going to be amazing.
Sure you
Maybe.
can.
So
The stars are going to help.
Oh yeah, exactly. So sometimes do you ever like kind of alter the image as you're doing the rubbings? Do you ever remove parts of the image or?
I've tried that.
No. Okay.
Might be a good idea.
Yeah. So if you decide to make one of these at home, you could probably do that. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit like sending emails when you're running a marathon.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many calories do you burn a day doing this? This is quite a few. Yeah. It's quite a few, I'm assuming, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I like cakes, so it makes up for it.
Ah, there we go. At least you do it with a smile.
Okay, that was half of the picture.
Okay. And then am I doing the text? Is that how this is working? Yeah? Okay.
Because then when it fails, because text is so much harder than the picture.
Perfect. Here we go.
Yeah,
So
just
I'm
make sure you've got enough of that.
So just a little bit, and
Yeah.
then just dab it off?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, am I doing it right?
Yeah.
A little bit?
You're actually getting, maybe you have a little bit too much acetone on it.
Okay. Well, I seem to be rubbing through the paper.
That's all right.
All right.
As long as you're not pushing the
text all over?
print away so it moves while you're doing it.
Okay. And it evaporates really quickly, right?
Really
So,
quickly,
yeah.
But if there's any left, put it back in the bottle immediately. So, shall we see if we
Sure.
got a print?
Yeah, let's pull them off.
I actually brought this one just because it looks better.
Yeah. Quite a show.
And
Hey, look at that. Yours looks fantastic. Look at that. Way to go. Yeah. Well, I tried hard. Well, that's great. I really appreciate you showing us this. And yeah, I would encourage you all to do this. All of you should do one. You should all bring them in here. You should all fail a whole bunch, because that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really important part of this process, along with a lot of art processes, that like cooking, like you fail when you're sometimes in the kitchen, and sometimes those failures really
absolutely.
develop your process of making and kind of creating and change the way that you think about your world and the way that you develop and the way, and really language fails us constantly. So
Absolutely. And as was it Dylan who said, there's no success like failure, and failure's no success at all.
well, Nanna, thank you so much. This was great. Thank you guys for coming. And,